I have to say I'm a little bit intimidated following our last two speakers, so bear with me here. It's really great to be here today. Welcome to KubeCon. My name is Nathan Tabor. Nathan, interchangeable. So if you tackle me, feel free to use whatever. And I'm really excited to talk a little bit about what we're doing on the EKS team in terms of roadmap. But you know, talking about roadmap is like a really tricky subject at Amazon. First of all, to what Bob was really emphasizing earlier, which is, you know, our number one emphasis when we operate an AWS service, and especially Amazon EKS, is security and operational stability. So we will drop everything, everything, even the things that are nearest and dearest to our hearts that we're so excited to be, you know, shipping to customers. If we need to focus on something that is going to ensure that our customers are safe, are secure, that the service is operating, that workloads don't go down. So it's a very tricky subject for us, and also because of how we approach our roadmap, of how we approach what should we be building next. There's a huge ecosystem of Kubernetes, and I'm personally incredibly excited for this week because getting to catch up with the community and hear all the great things that are being worked on, some things that, you know, I think like Mark was saying have been, you know, here for a long time. Some things that were, you know, the first commit might have been put in last week. I'm really excited to be hearing about all that and the new use cases that are coming out of our customers. And so there's this massive ecosystem. And one of the amazing challenges that myself and Jody and Bob and Ishwar and the rest of the team get to work on is, what should we do next? And sometimes the answer is incredibly obvious, and sometimes the answer is not incredibly obvious. So what I wanted to do in the next few minutes here is not necessarily deep dive into all the little things that we're thinking about building. We'll talk about a few of them, but I really want to share our philosophy on the EKS team and the larger Amazon philosophy of how do we decide what to build? How do we operate as a company? I think that it's incredibly interesting. Ever since I've joined Amazon, I've been fascinated by this. It's one of the things that makes me so excited to come into work every day and to work day and night with these people. And I'm fascinated by the way that we work, and I'm so excited to be able to bring this into the way that we deliver stuff for the community and the way that we deliver open source software. So there's a little bit of a cult of Jeff Bezos that goes on at Amazon, and in a very, very good way. There's some really, really wise words that have come over the years. And I wanted to bring a few of these things up. This is from the 1998 Amazon shareholders letter, which is, "There's no rest for the weary. I constantly remind our employees to be afraid, to wake up every morning terrified, not of our competition, but of our customers. Our customers are the ones to whom we owe a great obligation." And this is the attitude that we bring with us every single day. Every time we think about what should we do, you, our customers, are the ones that we're working for. We think about what does the customer want, and the process that we have for thinking about what the customer wants and how we should build things is called working backwards. I don't know how well this is known outside of Amazon. Has anyone ever heard this phrase, working backwards, before? Okay, awesome. Okay, well, that's awesome. Okay, I'm really, really excited to be talking about it then. So this is how we think about what we call customer obsession at Amazon. How do we work backwards from the needs of the customer? How do we build things, the right things at the right time that make sense for our customers, that are going to give them the most value for the things that they're trying to do and the things that they're trying to build? And this is really interesting philosophy because this permeates the whole organization. All the way from the people that are building the Amazon.com retail site or are building Kindles or Amazon Echoes, Alexa, hopefully there's not one in the room, all the way down to Amazon Web Services and the various services, whether that's something like Lambda or DynamoDB or working with open source software on the EKS team. And so the way that we think about this is that we start with the customer and work backwards. We work vigorously to earn customers' trust. And although we pay attention to competitors, we really are obsessing over delivering for our customers. So what does that mean? It means with starting with what our customers tell us. We listen to them. We spend a lot of time talking to customers. I think Bob mentioned this, that he spends a lot of time talking to and listening to customers. What are your problems? What are you building? How are you going to build this thing? And we start by not a list of requirements, not a list of, well, here's some technologies, what can we do with it? Where could we potentially go? There's a million directions we could go, but we look at what should the final customer experience look like? Even if it's going to take us a little while to get there, even if it's going to take 5 years, what should this look like? What's our vision for how we're going to meet this customer need? And we are comfortable iterating over time. I think Bob mentioned when he said, the classic way to launch an Amazon service is that MVP is to come out with something that meets a customer need, but it may not meet all of those needs. And then we're going to quickly add new features and new capabilities over time. And we're comfortable with that. We believe that actually creates a positive feedback loop. And there's some people that call this feedback loop the flywheel, but there's the idea that we're going to come out with something, we know it's going to meet a need, and then we're going to keep building on it. And I think when you look at the list of features that Bob showed, the list of new things that the EKS product and the EKS team has come out with over the last year or so, it's exactly this feedback loop. We put something out into the world, we listened to what people said, we looked at the needs that we needed to fill, and we came out with something else. But without direct customer feedback, this whole thing falls apart. If we're not listening to customers, if we don't hear from you, then we really don't have anything to go on, and we're just flying blind. So that's where starting with the customers and listening to the customers, listening to what are people building in the community, what are the new applications that people are trying to do on the EKS team. It's what are the new initiatives? What are the new things that the community is trying to do? What are the new things that people are trying to do with Kubernetes? It's one of the reasons I'm personally so excited to be here at KubeCon. So I mentioned these earlier. Everything that Amazon does really follows this process. And talking about positive feedback loops, it's what allows this type of chart to exist. This is a all-up AWS chart showing how many features and services has AWS as a company been delivering over the last 8 or 9 years or so. That positive feedback loop accelerates over time as more things are started, more things are built. We listen to customers and we come out with something new. So I think in last year, we shipped just under 2,000 services and significant features, which I think is, as Bob put up, about 25 of those were on the EKS team. So we're really excited to be a part of this, but this is something that we'll see continue to accelerate as the organization listens to customers as we meet more use cases. So this is a version of what Bob shared a little bit earlier today. What are all the things that EKS did a year in review? Again, I'm not going to read every single detail here. There's a lot. But the idea is that in less than a year, we've brought out the service and delivered just about 50 significant feature and performance enhancements and feature improvements since we went GA. And our pace in 2019 is so far matching or exceeding our pace in 2018. So like Bob said, this is going to continue to accelerate as we hear from you, as we hear what you need to build, and as the community continues to innovate, we're going to bring that innovation in, and we're going to do our best to actually bring that and make that available to our customers as quickly as we can. So really, this is super cool, and this is the results of that effort. But what I'm here to talk about is how are we going to do this? How are we going to accelerate this? And how can we work together with all of you to make this even better and to make this service really, really awesome? So I think the first thing that I've learned as a product manager at Amazon is that it's really, really hard to include everybody when you're working backwards. There's only so many ears on the team. And there's a lot more customers than there are people at Amazon, right? That's how it works. It's very, very difficult for us to have deep conversations with everyone. There's only so many hours of the day. And sometimes what that means is that only the largest or the most strategic or the loudest customers really get through and we get to hear them. And that's a real problem. That's an honest problem that we face and that we actively work against every single day, making sure that, is it just the squeaky wheel that's getting the grease? Are we really innovating on behalf of customers because that person over there is happening to shout about something? What are the things that really matter? How do you get heard? You're large, you're important, or you're famous, or you're loud. And the danger is that can mean that you end up not building for everyone. You're building for those that are large, that are important or famous, and that are loud. And that's really not working backwards, right? That's working backwards from a very, very a sliver of the people that you should be looking at. And so we've thought about this on the containers team. This has been thought about for a while now, and that's the reason why we built the open source containers roadmap that we've mentioned so far today. Because what this is meant to do is open up working backwards to everyone. To mean that the people that are, we're taking feedback through this so that you don't have to be large, you don't have to be important, and you don't have to be loud to have your idea heard, and to see how that idea is translating from, hey, this would really solve my problem, to this is something that the service is delivering for you to help you solve that problem. And so on this roadmap, we have a lot of really cool things. We have feature ideas. I would say if somebody put in a service idea, that would be cool. We're always open to that. And we also have things like beta programs, things that we're working on that we think you should share. There's a few, I don't deep dive later, so I'll talk about it now, a little bit about the beta programs. You can actually see them under developer preview here. And this is a screenshot, so please go and pull this up and star it and fork it and do what you like on GitHub so that you can keep track of it. But in the last few months on the EKS team, we've actually opened up 2 public betas here. One for running Windows nodes with EKS. And if you go to the homepage of this repo, there's a link to the beta programs, and you can go in, and we have everything you need to run Windows nodes on EKS. So the YAML files and a full markdown walkthrough of instructions. And then we did that for a few weeks. We got really good feedback on that. And we said, hey, we also want to bring on support for our new ARM processor-based A1 instances. So we did the same thing too. And so those are 2 beta programs that are currently running here. And in addition to actually having the markdown page with all the information in the YAML files and the things you need to try it out, we also have these tracking issues. And it's been really cool because people can come into those tracking issues and say, hey, this isn't quite working, or I think you can improve the instructions here, and we can fix that. And if you, for example, found a better way to write the YAML, you could submit that as a PR and we'll fix it. And eventually, the idea is when we close the beta programs, we're going to take the best practice instructions and however the docs that are on GitHub, however they've improved, we're just going to throw those. Those will become the docs for that feature on EKS. So it's a very open way of working. It's a very open way of building an AWS service. And we're super excited about it. And I'm incredibly grateful that we're able to do this. And I'm incredibly grateful to the people at Amazon that have helped enable this. And it's an amazing tool that we have. I cannot encourage you enough. If you see something this week that you think is super cool and you say, man, I wish that Amazon supported that. I wish I could go into AWS and just get that and click a button. Or, this is something that I'm seeing, someone do and that I'd really love to be able to do it here. Let us know. We have an issue template on this roadmap, and please just go open an issue. Anyone can open an issue. Add yourself to another issue. Add an upvote. Add a comment. This is how we really see us, opening up working backwards to everyone. So you don't have to be large, you don't have to be famous, and you don't have to be loud. You can just be somebody in the community with a really good idea or a suggestion or a problem, and you can get heard by us so that we can help you out. What we do with all this data is really interesting because we really use this. as part of the process at Amazon, when we actually do get to the point where we've collected all that customer feedback, where we've had the conversations, where we've read the comments on GitHub, we ask ourselves when we're deciding whether or not we should build something, and this is a question that I ask myself. This is a question if I have a conversation with Bob or even with Andy Jassy, who's the CEO of AWS. This is a question that's asked. And if you can't answer this question at Amazon, we typically won't do it. And the question is, why do we believe that this feature or service will be successful? And this isn't hey, it's going to be successful because I really want to build it and I think it's cool. This is where we bring in all of that customer feedback. And we bring in all the things that customers are telling us and the conversations that we had to justify that, yes, this is the right decision, this is the right thing for us to be doing. It is customer obsession in action. And here's what that looks like. I would put this every day, all day in a document. This is issue number 26. This is a feature that we were really excited to have shipped a month or two ago here, which is EKS control plane logs. So you can go ahead and you can look at this issue. We had 16 conversation participants, which is awesome. We had 211 upvotes, which is really awesome. And we had some amazing comments that actually ended up guiding exactly how we deliver this feature, which is, if it goes to CloudWatch, it would be more flexible than Elasticsearch and would also follow the ECS pattern. Hey, that's pretty cool, okay. And then, is this going to include other control plane components such as the scheduler, kubelet, controller manager, also interested in logs from IAM authenticator pods for auditing purposes? So these were two awesome comments as we were figuring out how exactly should we deliver this feature. And this has ended up being, and this isn't always the case, that we're able to deliver something so verbatim. And I, admittedly chose this answer because it was cool to see how verbatim we ended up delivering the feature, which is you could modify your Kubernetes cluster to deliver control plane logs automatically into CloudWatch. And we had control plane logs for the scheduler, kubelet, controller manager, or not kubelet, but we were pretty close. Scheduler, controller manager, authenticator, audit logs. So this feedback from our customers when we were thinking through what exactly should we be turning on, how exactly should we deliver this logs, what's that decision matrix, this was incredible and it really helped guide our decision making. So when you leave these comments, it's not just sitting out there in the world. This is stuff that we really pay attention to and that really matters for us. All right, so we have a few minutes left here. I'm going to talk a little bit about the things that we've been shipping. And sometimes what's really cool is that if somebody creates an issue, even if it's something that we were like, oh yeah, we're probably going to do that, like having EKS available in the Paris region, we're going to keep that issue up there. We're going to keep that live, and we're going to show that this was an idea and that people actually care about this in the community because this wasn't opened by an Amazon person. This was opened by one of our customers. So this is some great stuff that we shipped recently. SOC compliance, the Git token subcommand, support for IP space and VPC, public IP space, so that's non-RFC 1918 addresses. The concept that we should have a service level agreement for the EKS control plane. The idea that we should have availability in Paris. Admittedly, that one we were already thinking about, but it was cool that somebody jumped on it and was like, hey, we really want EKS to be available in Paris. And that helps us prioritize that we should be available in that region. EKS cuddle instructions and the EKS documentation. This one doesn't have a GitHub issue, and I might sneakily go and create one just for tracking purposes. And then this is some of the stuff that we're working on right now. So number 284, CNI 1.5 in EKS, and support for Kubernetes 1.13. The star there means that somebody in the community opened this issue, and that's really cool because, again, that means that we that's really good data for us. I mean, it's important for us as a service to always be shipping new versions of Kubernetes. But again, the more developer feedback and the more customer feedback is awesome. And then we talked a little bit about developer preview. And then these are things that are a little farther out. So I should explain a little bit about what these categories are. So when we talk about coming soon, these are things that we're working on very actively right now. These are the things that are being tested, that are being in those final development stages where we're really getting the fit and finish right, and there's a lot of active work, and we're planning the rollout. Developer preview is also there. You know, these are things that we feel like are good enough that we want people to play with them. We want people to try them out. We want people to look at them and give us feedback. And then working on it, these are things that are a little bit farther out. You know, it's not going to be necessarily coming here in the next few weeks, but it's going to be coming pretty soon. These are things that, you know, we're engineering design, we're in planning, we're starting to build prototypes, and we're figuring out, you know, how does this work? How does this really work for us as a service? And so, you know, there's some really good examples of things that customers have suggested to us that, you know, were accepted and actually put into this working environment. So, you know, support for pod security policy and mission controllers, CloudWatch logs for containers. You know, these are the types of things that when customers say, you know, this is really important to us, it helps us as a team say, okay, this is important to our customers. These are things that we think should be important to us too. And then we have researching. Researching is even that little bit farther out. These are things that we may not have engineers sitting down and coding on, but, you know, we have our engineering principals sitting down and discussing, you know, how could we build this? What's the best way for us to accomplish this? How would this kind of work? How would this come together on the service? And there's some really cool stuff in here, and I think that this is really where the roadmap starts. And some community-driven things here is number 177, security groups for pods. How can I give security group control onto my pods? How can I configure ability for pod eviction timeouts? Automatically installing the AWS Surface Operator on our master nodes, and the ability to configure IPCS kube proxy mode. These are sort of these things that are a little bit farther out, where you see things where we're going to have the customer feedback. We're going to see the issue that's being opened. We'll see people commenting and talking about the issue and upvoting the issue, and where we can kind of say, hey, you know, this is really cool, and we should be thinking about this too. And this is us saying, okay, yeah, we're really going to we think that this one's really, really important. We're going to think about. A comment here is that there's a lot more issues that are opened against EKS or other container services than may actually be on the roadmap project. If you have an issue, or you open an issue, or you're looking at an issue and it's really important to you, don't despair that it's not necessarily on the roadmap project. That's completely okay. Keep commenting, keep upvoting. What we're really looking for is that signal through the noise. We're looking at, you know, how do we prioritize what should really be pulled onto the roadmap. So it's definitely an exciting day when we do pull it onto the roadmap, but just because it's not doesn't mean that it's lost to the ends of time and that we'll never do it. You know, continue working on that, reference it in other issues, bring it up, you know, get more people to comment and upvote it. You know, leave a comment like, hey, we'd really like you guys to take a look at this. There's so much that's important, and as a team, we're committed to prioritizing the things that are going to make the most difference for our customers. And so tell us that, and help us prioritize what we should build next. And that's really the point of this, is democratizing that access to our development process and to how we work backwards as a company. So here's the same thing. Oh, there we go, automatically moved. So here's a little QR code that's helpful. So follow this. It helps you stay up to date with what we're working on. We're going to put things in here that we think of, and we'll pull things that you think of onto the roadmap. Give us feedback, propose new ideas, and also what's cool about this is you get notified when new features ship. So one of the things that we're really interested in having the conversation this week is, like Bob mentioned, that pace of development. It's very fast. There's things coming out almost every week, if not every other week, from the EKS team. And so just staying up on what's happening and what's new can be a bit of a challenge. And so this is one thing that you can subscribe to and get notified when we ship new things. We're going to close the issue. We're going to move it into the just shipped column on the Container Roadmap project. So this is a great way to stay up to date with what's going on in the team and what we're shipping. And I'd really encourage you guys to try out developer previews and even suggest developer previews to us. What are some things that you think would be interesting as a developer preview? As you go through the developer previews, if you're interested right now in Windows nodes, if you're interested in ARM A1 nodes for your EKS clusters, try those out. Let us know on GitHub. Let us know what your experience is. If you think we can improve the code, if we think you can do it, or if you think we can do it better, open a PR against us. And give us your thoughts. We're really, really excited to be here at KubeCon. We're really excited to have this amazing service, EKS, that's grown so much over the last year. And I'm really excited that all of you are here at the AWS Containers Day here on the first day of KubeCon. So we have some great stuff coming up. And I think Ignacio is going to come and say what's next.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Nathan.
Thank you.